Hey friends, hope that you're well. It's Saturday, the 8th of June. This is the Guardian newspaper. On their front page is to say 1938 moment for the world. So, finally, I have seen it once before in a newspaper, but further back off the front page. We've been saying this, or I've been saying this for nearly 4 years now, certainly since mid 2020, that we were being prepped for something. And of course, they switched from the CV-19 affair to the Ukraine business. In a matter of 48 hours, they took the flock in this direction. So when big history is self-evidently being written and leaders face monumental choices, the urge to find inspiration in historical parallels is natural. The only clue to what man can do is what man has done, says Collingwood, a historian. This Estonian Prime Minister claims that war is imminent and that the West has not yet joined the dots. No, the West has definitely joined the dots, and I think they were leading us there. But the same mistake was made in 1938 when tensions in Abyssinia, which is now Ethiopia, which makes me think of what's going on in the Congo. There's this stuff happening in Africa. The proximate causes of the current conflict in Ukraine, Middle East, South China Sea, and Armenia might be different, but the bigger picture shows an interconnected battlefield where post-Cold War certainties have given way to great power competition. So, her favorite historian Snyder adds a twist by reimagining 38 as a year in which Czech, like Ukraine in 22, had chosen to fight. So you had Czech, like Ukraine, an imperfect democracy, far Eastern Europe, threatened by a larger neighbor, chooses to resist. I can't help but think this is all engineered. So instead, when Germany invaded Poland in 1939, it was invading Poland with the Czech armaments industry, which was the best in the world. It was invading with Slovak soldiers from a geopolitical position that it gained because it destroyed Czechoslovakia, now Slovakia and Czech Republic. If Ukrainians give up, or we give up on Ukraine, so this is the push to get involved in the war, right? It's Russia's war, making war in the future, and Russia making war with Ukrainian technology, which I didn't think they had, which is why they've got all the American and British and others having to support them. Christopher Hitchens, someone I used to admire when I was an atheist, so for what he's worth, from Korea to Vietnam to Iraq, has been launched on the back of Munich syndrome, the belief that those who appease bullies, as Neville Chamberlain sought to do with Adolf Hitler in 1938, are either dupes or cowards. Such leaders are eventually forced to put their soldiers into battle unprepared. Let us not despair, but act. So, this is very interesting. And here's a picture of 2022 in a place near Bucha, a town northwest of Kiev. I mean, very northwest, I think. I haven't looked it up, but I don't think that the Russians have scratched deeply into Ukraine, which in itself is very suspicious. It's like my experience in Angola. We only did a little bit of scratching on the surface beyond the border, a few hundred kilometers, and not more. And eventually the South Africans got bogged down in a siege of Quito Carnival that Nelson Mandela later claimed was the death of apartheid. Nelson Mandela was obviously, whether he was the real Mandela or an actor, given to appease the Western powers and continue the control of the country by external forces rather than truly to give it to the Africans. We couldn't have all those valuable mining companies taken away from Western interests, could we really? And of course the Reserve Bank of South Africa is, like most other reserve banks, owned by, well, let's not say. But from Kiev's perspective, everything remains too slow. We have the problem that while Poland is doing a lot, Germany is doing a lot, France is doing little. Despite recognizing the threat of Putin, another actor, we cannot accept the consequences in terms of nuclear risks, which there are none. For all of this talk of political will, what we actually face is political won't. We won't define victory as a goal. Macron, he's the French president, who is an absolute scam boy. He's claimed to have said that we will do everything we can to make the unvied very uncomfortable, which is what we saw. Europe clearly faces a moment when it will be necessary not to be cowards. So there you go. We are being cajoled and tricked into getting involved in a controlled war. Are you willing to lift the restrictions on arms factories to run them 24 hours a day? Are you willing to give them ATACMS? They come up with some funny names. And like the Vatican's Lucifer telescope. Get Germany to give them Taurus, the bull. My chief concern is that the war is so remote from our societies that we have trouble grappling what success requires. So, yeah, it's just all kind of, Biden, is he real? Appear to fast. If we ever let Ukraine go down, mark my words, you'll see Poland go, and you'll see all those nations along the actual border of Russia from the Balkans and Belarus. I don't think that is the Russian agenda, but I'm not saying there's any good guys in this. I'm not for or against one. I just think that they're all in the same, had their chains yanked. But of course, if you're in the military, and you're a general or whatever, you've got to believe that this is a real threat, because you're going to send your young soldiers into battle. If you're in politics, you've got to believe this is a real threat, because you're going to justify the increase of military spending, which of course is a good thing for the economy, not for the people. So I won't go on. You can pause this and read it if you want to. It's just, but it's really, I wanted to make the point that I think that there is, the moves afoot. It's just the drum beats are starting to get louder. Neville Chamberlain hails peace for our time, famously, after talks with Adolf Hitler in 1938. And then we hear stories of Hitler saying, "No, I don't want to go to war with England, and I'll do everything I can to avert that." Apparently 5 times. I mean, I can't verify that. Apparently 5 times he tried to step back from the brink from wider conflict. Russia has a claim. It believes, certainly the people there believe they have a claim to some of the land, Ukraine land. It's one of those messy things, like Palestine. Anyway, I wanted to show you this piece of propaganda, actually. Shooting for the moon. Highly ambitious shooting for the moon, 60 years after we could go to the moon. So how could it be a race when you already got there 60 years ago? There's so many things I could pull apart with this aeroplane interior, or this mock-up. In fact, it is a mock-up, because as you can see here, prepares a lesson for Euro Space Agency astronauts at a training facility. So, for the fanboys that go, "No, this was the real thing." Well, of course it is the real thing. It's what they use. It's all they have. Now, there's some interesting stuff. I won't belabor this. This one is interesting, because this is this incredible looking facility with these sound dampening walls and everything. Everything is sound dampened because it is Innes is inspecting a copy of Galileo's satellite, a copy. So this is the real. This is what it is. This is the real thing. Yeah. And they obviously, I'm assuming what they do is they run this thing in this sound dampened room so that it gives them this background reading or this reading that they can, because the spiky foam on the walls simulates the endless void of space. So they're actually creating a void to absorb all radio waves. And I think that's why they would go to such extreme lengths to, mock this up. Why would you need to mock this up? Why not just pop one out into space? You've been doing it in 60 years, 70 years, putting satellites out in space. You already know how to build these things and to put them in that environment. But this was the one that I was most interested in. So this character here is spacewalk instructor at the European Astronaut Central Neutral Buoyancy Facility. He prepares astronauts for weightlessness in a water tank 10 meters deep. So that's where they get their weightlessness, in a water tank 10 meters deep. That's it. There's not much more to say on that. Weightlessness in a water tank 10 meters deep. And that's all the prep you will need. And possibly all the suit you will need. I mean, he's not wearing the full get-up that they do their fake spacewalks on. And this, what do you think this is? Oh, this is the interior of ESM-3 service module that will propel the first woman to the moon and back on board NASA's Orion astronaut spacecraft built by Airbus. Oh my lord. So this is all programming and fakery. I'm not even sure if this is a staged thing here. And of course, this is what they will tell you is, all they need to do is put this on the ground. Obviously, this is not, they're not claiming to have a cameraman on Mars. This is simulating a Mars environment. As you can see here, it says a robot prepares to explore the rocky terrain of the Mars yard. Again, how do we know that they aren't going to use the Mars yard to create this thing? And what you don't have to see is, you don't have to see how this thing with its spindly little legs manages to land on the surface. Just believe it that it's got some balloon that'll gently lower it onto the surface. It's going to land like this, and all of these panels will open, but you don't have to see any of that. You just trust that that's going to happen. And then this character here, this simple, very, very simple shopping cart with little battery operated wheels is going to run, get enough charge because the sun is bright enough for Mars. Because when I first saw this, I was like, oh look, there's footprints on Mars. But this is obviously just a mock-up, which they will use to mock us. And then this washing machine here with these tiny solar panels. I don't know if you see how big solar panels are on a person's house. And they don't get enough power to run a washing machine twice a day. So that's just, I'll give you a quick, you can run through this at your own speed if you want to. I've kind of run out of time here, but you can see this if you really want to. See, China are all in it. JAXA, they're all Russia, they're all in it. That's why World War III is going to be designed to harm humanity by people who are sitting at the same table. So, I'll leave it there. Peace.